Hey, Anna. Here we are again, finally.
Yeah, I've missed
Me
this.
too. And we miss talking with you, listeners. You may have noticed we took a little bit of a pre-holiday hiatus.
That's right. The last episode, Raising Multilingual Children from Myth to Reality, was a pretty heavy lift for us, wasn't it?
A hefty episode, yes. Almost twice the length of our average episode, but chock full of information. Listeners, whether you have or plan to have your own children, or simply whether you teach a language or love learning languages yourself, we definitely recommend checking out our last episode. I may be biased since I got to chat with my two closest friends who are, in my opinion, superhuman mamas.
Stop, Shay, you're too sweet. Anyway, today we're back with our final episode of 2024, ready to do what we do best, reflect. Ready to dive into our final episode of the year?
I am. Let's do it. On your mark, get set, network. So cheesy.
Yep.
That the teeper. Scroll. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Honestly, you could use this for the bloopers.
Hello, and welcome to the Teacher Think-Aloud podcast, a podcast for reflective practice for teachers of English around the world. I'm your co-host, Shey.
And I'm Anna.
And we are recording this episode on Monday, December 23rd. I don't know about you, Anna, but I'm feeling all the end-of-year vibes today. A mix of nostalgia and, honestly, relief. It's been quite the year, hasn't it? So much has happened both personally and professionally for both of us.
For sure. I feel like 2024 has been one of those years where every month felt like a year. But now looking back, it's like, wait, where did the time go?
Exactly. It's the teacher time warp, I think. The days are long, but the years are short. So what stands out for you this year? What's the first item on your reflection list today?
Honestly, becoming a mom has been the biggest thing, hands down.
Really?
Yeah, it's completely shifted how I see the world.
Of course.
I've been so fascinated by my baby's language development. Like, this tiny human is just soaking everything up.
I can totally imagine. That is such a linguist's dream, isn't it? Like, wow, a real life case study in my own house.
Exactly. When we got pregnant, one of the first things I said to my husband was, I can't wait to watch our baby's language develop and help shape it. It's nerd. It's been so rewarding. That's why our episode on raising multilingual kids felt so personal to me. I've even gone back to some of the research we referenced there.
I bet. You are such an inspiration for me, and I'm sure many of our listeners who tuned into the last episode. Kind of makes me want to have a baby just to experiment with the language development theory I've been reading about all these years.
I guess that's a solid reason to have a child.
I'm only half serious. For now, my classroom is my language laboratory.
Oh, boy. I had nearly forgotten how much of a weirdo you are.
Last episode of the year, it's especially weird.
Yeah.
In addition to becoming a mother, Anna, this has also been a great year for you professionally.
It was a big year, you're right. Earlier in the year, I completed a certificate in instructional design from Georgetown University, and then I was promoted from L&D coordinator to L&D manager at English language programs funded by the U.S. Department of State. During maternity leave, which was wild.
Oh my gosh. And baby was just like a month old or something, right?
Yeah. It's been a bit of a whirlwind, but I'm happy in my new role and excited to continue trying to find ways to improve support for our international teaching community.
You're amazing.
So I've been figuring out how to do that, getting work done in between diaper changes. And you, on the other hand, you've been jet setting like contestant on The Amazing Race. Where have you traveled this year, Shey?
Well, honestly, not too many places. Italy for a few months at the start of the year. China twice and the newly minted home base in Connecticut. But yes, it's been a bit of a whirlwind on my end too.
Yeah, a little more travel than me. Every time we recorded this year, you were, I think, in a different time zone. You know, I think I should start tracking your carbon footprint, Shey.
Fair point. Well, this year's travels taught me a lot. Like, spending almost 6 months in China reminded me how much I'm drawn to teacher training rather than classroom teaching. Now, don't get me wrong, teaching academic writing is great, but after more than a decade of teaching college students, I think I'm ready to take a little break from it.
You've been saying that you want out for a while, pretty much as long as I've known you. You've known your passion lies in empowering teachers.
That's true. And that's how we came to bond and create this podcast together.
Well, it's huge for you to fully step into that realization this year. Honestly, I've always admired how you juggle so many roles between the podcast, dropping in to teach at universities in Bangladesh or China, your work with Bridge Education Group, moderating ELT webinars, doing teacher training, and now your role as an industry insights specialist. How do you manage all that?
2 words, coffee and chaos. I think you understand that, right, Anna? I mean, having a baby made you into a coffee drinker.
That's another development this year.
Yes, wow. Well, beyond my steady stream of caffeine, I found that focusing on things that truly bring me joy in my work makes all the difference. For example, my work with Bridge, whether it's moderating webinars or exploring how AI is revolutionizing ELT through research and writing articles for our audience, all of that feels so aligned with what I love.
You've always been a dabbler.
Well, I crave freedom and flexibility. I'm neurodivergent. This is a part of me I'm not sure if I've shared on the podcast before. So being a freelancer isn't always the easiest for me because my schedule lacks structure unless I create it for myself. You have to be a self-starter to be a teacherpreneur or an edupreneur, right? And my motivation is largely interest-driven. So having work that can evolve with my interests is of utmost importance, or I'll never get anything done. But also having a place to land in between my travels gives me a bit of peace of mind to focus on my projects. So that's a very roundabout way to tell you how I do it all, Anna.
Yeah. I want to just also shout out here, because you mentioned teacherpreneurship, that you did a really great episode this year with T-Sol Pop.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. But I'm glad you've carved out a professional life that honors who you are. It seems like you've been doing a lot of deep reflection.
Always learning.
And you mentioned AI, right? AI is such a hot topic, and I think it'll continue to be going forward.
Yes.
What's been the most eye-opening part of your research this year?
Where do I start? Well, I've been diving into AI tools for teachers, of course, like content creation and speaking practice, as well as its role in language assessment. It's all really amazing, but it's also a bit daunting. I try to stay optimistic and curious. I think that's important when we're integrating new things into our work. But I recently had a conversation with my partner, and he pointed out that while AI could make teaching more efficient, there's always a risk of schools using it to squeeze even more out of teachers. It really got me thinking. What do you think?
I mean, that's a really important point, right? It's a double-edged sword. While AI has potential to ease workloads, it can also be exploited. We definitely need to keep advocating for teacher well-being.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of well-being, let's get into the state of the podcast. What a year it's been. What are some of your favorite episodes this year, Anna?
So hard to choose. I mean, we had a mix of practical teaching topics, podcasting for language learning with Anna Airapetian, and English for networking with Angela Ramos, mixed in with more career level conversations, like our conversation with Ellie about materials writing. admin considerations or general TESOL issues like community ESL programs with Eric Trader, and broader food for thought like LGBTQIA representation with Kim Carroll and silence in the language classroom with Luis Javier Pinton Herrera.
Yeah, it's still the same way. I feel like we also have to give a shout out to our AI episode with Jeff McIlvenna. It was actually one we put out in 2023, but it was still our most listened to episode in 2024. That tells me that teachers are hungry for guidance on integrating AI into their practice.
Definitely.
Still.
Definitely. And you and I threw around the idea of putting together another AI episode beyond the two we've done. And honestly, I just could not wrap my head around it, mostly because the big course I worked on developing this year in my day job was about AI, and I needed a break from the topic.
Sure.
But the YouTube videos are out for that, by the way, if people want to watch the course videos.
Great. Well, check out our show notes, friends. I really appreciated our conversations this year that helped to simplify seemingly complicated ideas for teachers, like our episode with Rosemary Colon on teachers as advocates, where she shares entry points for teachers to find their footing as advocates for their learners, and building a sustainable PD practice with Yulia Karchenko, who shared a framework she and her colleagues developed to ensure future teachers are armed with teaching and reflective skills that they need to evolve with the times in this profession.
Ooh, that was a really great episode with Yulia. But so what about next year? Where do you see us taking the podcast?
Well, we have some exciting news to share with our audience, don't we? But I think they'll have to tune in the new year, right?
So
we're not giving anything
no
away
exciting
today.
news here today, everybody.
Just teasing you.
So
Yes.
stay tuned, though. Exciting stuff is coming.
Well, so as far as content is concerned, I think we're both curious to hear from our listeners on that front. Do they want more ready-to-use teaching tips, career advice, broader TESOL trends? Personally, I'd love to dive deeper into emerging topics and continue exploring the intersection of our personal and professional lives, Anna.
I'm with you on that. This year has been a lesson in balancing both worlds between becoming a mom, earning my ID certificate, and being promoted during maternity leave. It's been a lot, but it's shown me how interconnected our personal and professional growth really is.
That's such a great reflection. I think we've both realized the importance of holistic professional development. We've always talked about it, but I think we really feel it now. The importance of integrating our personal lives into our work in a way that feels sustainable and meaningful.
And as we wrap up the year, we just want to say a huge thank you to our listeners. Your support means so much to us, and we're excited to keep growing together in 2025. And if you want to continue helping us grow, please give this episode a like, share it with a teacher friend, and subscribe.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Anna. So here's to a happy, love-filled holiday season and a reflective new year.